Hello everybody, it's me, Riffraff Hornhelm, and I'm back again with another presentation from the Dwarven Vault. And today we have a monster review. And the monster review we have for you today is for a terrible creature called the DRAGONNE, or Dragon, or I'm not really sure. It's a dragon, but it's not. It's a cross between a lion and a brass dragon. Though for some odd reason the languages it can speak are brass dragon and sphinx. Go figure. This is a very large creature, and it comes to us from the original monster manual as given to us for use with Advanced Dungeons and Dragons, or what's typically called 1E today, and going backwards with basic and so forth. It's a cool creature. It's also a weird creature. Now, it's 9 hit dice, which is, wow, that's a lot. And it has a claw bite attack plus something else. And the claw bite attack does 1 to 8 on each of the claw attacks and 3 to 18 on the bite. Now, it has a weird armor class. It's a 2 and a 7. Because it's a combination between a brass dragon and it's more like a brass dragon body, that has an armor class of 2. But the head has an armor class of 7. Not that easy to hit the head, though. Because if you try and get too close to this thing, or if it's decided to use its primary weapon, it roars. And the roar of a dragon is mighty fierce. It can deafen anybody within 30 feet. Up to 120 feet, it can cause massive disorientation and weakness if you don't make a save versus paralyzation. That weakness is so bad that it degrades your strength by 50%. Now, this can last for, I think it's 2 to 16 rounds or 2 to 12 rounds or something like that, the effects of the actual dragon roar. And it's pretty nasty. Anything that's within, is in the area where it gets deafened, which is within 30 feet when it lets loose, you attack it -1 because you're disoriented. It's a pretty fierce attack on that side, no two ways about it. And a little bit different when it comes to attacks, having a roar instead of throwing some kind of other breath weapon, fire or ice or whatever it may be. Now, though they stand 5 foot tall at the shoulder, that's really not that big of a creature compared to, say, an actual brass dragon. And they have wings that are smaller than a brass dragon. And one of the things is they can only fly short distances. They can only fly for like 1 to 3 turns, and after that, they're not able to go any further. They have to significantly rest before they can do more. They also have some other drawbacks. Low intelligence. They're not animal intelligence, but very low intelligence. So think like an orc or something like that. It's not a very smart creature. It is neutral, and it has no special magic resistance, or resistant to or standard weapons, I should say. So standard weapons and magic will work against this creature. Now, these very solitary creatures, only being encountered one at a time, are very, very rare, and they live in very isolated areas. This is not something that you would have a high chance of running into. Of course, with 9 hit dice, it's also going to have a fair amount of endurance, and that roar attack that's frightening. It really can screw up anybody that's near it. With low intelligence, it would be a difficult creature to negotiate effectively with without putting yourself at risk. Now, us dwarves, do we run into dragons? Well, not in my experience. I did some checking amongst my brethren, and there was one who had run into it. But he's also known as Barney the Deaf, and apparently he's been deaf ever since he did run into it. So I guess they're pretty effective on that side. and we're not going to go looking for them. That's for sure. They're a serious creature that you need to be wary of if you ever run across them. A good clue is if you hear the roar, which you can hear at a much further distance, but it only affects you negatively if you're within 120 feet. Now, of course, we went out to the greater Hornhelm community and said, okay, gamers, we know these are used in games once in a while. Well, what do you think? And going to the greater Hornhelm community and talking to the dungeon masters and saying, hey, what about the Dragonne or Dragonne or however it's pronounced? And the dungeon masters came back and said, hey, that is a really good creature. The roar screws everybody up. Nobody thinks about it in terms of what it can do, and usually at least some of the party is close enough to be affected. They said that they were very effective in battling with an adventuring party. They provided a very good encounter and ranked it very high. I was kind of surprised they ranked it as an 8. Now, for a creature that doesn't have any resistance to standard weapons or magical or any kind of magic, I thought the 8 might be a little bit high, but I can understand where they're coming from. All it has to do is roar once, and that's really going to put a damper on some people's days. Now, of course, we went out to the players as well and said, well, what about this Dragonne? And they came back and they gave it an 8 or a 9. So they thought it was a little bit more dangerous, and it had everything to do with the combination of the fact that it had this tremendous ability with the roar, and that it wasn't phased by a lot of the things that dragons would normally be phased by. In other words, it didn't really want to engage in negotiations. It wasn't trying to be clever. It just attacked. As a neutral creature, and it having low intelligence, you at least have the opportunity as a neutral or good party to sway this into maybe letting you pass or something of that nature, but that's up to your DM. At least there's an opportunity for it. They're not smart, but they're not totally stupid either. Interesting character. So, really, highly ranked by both DMs and players. It's a frightening character that you need to be very, very careful of. Certainly one that would make an interesting addition to anybody's adventure. So that, my friends, is the Dragonne, or the Dragonne, or I'm not sure, but that thing, the one in the picture. We hope you enjoyed today's presentation. If you did, please be so kind as to leave us a like. Consider subscribing if you haven't. And, share with your friends. Leave us a comment. But most of all, come back and see us again real soon. We thank you so very much for your kind support. Take care, everyone. And remember, dwarves rock!